everyone, and welcome back to the Overleveled podcast.
Oh, that's a different way of doing it. You didn't really go full podcast in there.
The podcast!
Yeah, that's better. That's what the audience wants.
Yeah, they just want me to blow out their asses. I mean, their ears.
Oh.
Yeah. So, before we go ahead and get into all of the news stuff, I think towards the end of the podcast too, we might try to incorporate some type of segment. But we're still trying to work out segments and all that sort of stuff. I want to, I'm okay with this show not having the greatest structure of all time. I can live with all of that, but stuff like segments and other little things that we can do, just kind of surrounding the podcast, whether it's community input or some ideas that you think of. I want to try to incorporate all that, but before we even jump into all of that, DJ,
yes,
how are you? Tell the people what's going on with you, what stuff you're working on or stuff like that.
I'm good. Currently working on the next One Piece review. Hoping to have that out early September. And yeah,
nice.
How you doing, Gavin? What's up?
I'm doing good. No, I'm just wondering, did you get any new games kind of recently or play anything new?
I didn't get any games. I'm still playing. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous podcast, but I'm still playing Shadow Hearts from the New World. Almost at the halfway point of that. That's been good. Giving me a lot of Final Fantasy X vibes with that game.
And you said, I guess, after Shadow Hearts, you're going to move on to Breath of the Wild. Am I right?
Yes.
Cool.
What about you? What you been playing?
Oh, boy. Well, as of recently, and this will kind of go into some other stuff that I'll talk about as far as things I'm working on. But right now, I've kind of halted my playthrough on some other games that I've talked about playing, like things like Nier Automata and Neo: The World Ends With You. I haven't touched those for a little bit. I've been working on maybe incorporating a new, I guess, sub podcast to this podcast. Basically, it's mostly going to be a type of story analysis / just kind of like viewing the writing style of a lot of storytelling in video games. Just, I think from what we've talked about on the podcast, I know, I'm sure, I mean, you know this of me, I'm more of a story first kind of gamer. Like, I enjoy games that are really fun, but even if a game isn't necessarily fun to play, if the story is worth sticking around, I'll trudge through it,
Right.
So right now, myself and my roommate Brandon, friend of the podcast, friend of me and DJ, we've been playing through BioShock. Just like the first one, BioShock Remastered. This is actually my first time ever playing the game, and this is another one of those games that, if you listen to our last episode, we talked a lot about video game backlogs. This is definitely one that's been on my backlog for a really long time.
Right. And how is it?
Dude, I spent at least... okay, so it's good. It's very good. But I spent 20 minutes writing down notes just about the main menu. And the main menu, I mean, just upon looking at it at first glance, yeah, I mean, it's not anything special. I don't know, I guess, unless you're literally just trying to find meaning and find detail in this menu, there's not a whole lot going on. It's very, the game itself is very just press start, play the game, it's very fast moving in that. But if you take time to just kind of I don't know, look at all those little fine details. I spent 20 minutes just examining and analyzing before you even click start on the game,
Yeah. Jesus, wow.
So this is something, it's not going to be, I think maybe the first episode that me and Brandon record of this sort of book club type series. It's not going to be, or the first episode will be kind of scene by scene, beat by beat, just because it's all a part of the introduction. All of it is just presentation on how this game wants to pull you in, which I think in itself is a good thing to kind of think about whenever looking at any game. Here on on this current form of podcast that me and you are doing, we can basically look at any RPG and, you know, whether it's gameplay or story or music or anything like that. I think presentation and how a game opens up and how a game starts is a huge factor in, like, I guess, you know, like pulling in a player to even want to finish the game, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so right now I'm working on that. So I'm playing through that. I'm trying not to be so beat by beat with it, just because if I'm just sitting there and like I'm looking around and noticing all of the artistic design choices and, you know, why did the director want to include this in here? You know, I'm just going to sit there basically like, you know, taking little steps here and there, shooting enemies here and there, and then like just spend the rest of my time writing notes. And I want to enjoy my time playing this game before I just go headstrong into analyzing everything. Yeah. So I think right now that I think we have, at least as far as what I want to talk about in the game for the first episode, I'm done with that. So I think right now I'm just going to play through the rest of the game like I would normally, and then maybe start it over and have that replay of the game be more of the analytical viewpoint of it. Thankfully, it's not like a terribly long game. I think on How Long to Beat, BioShock is like a 10-hour game or something like that.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
I'm looking forward to doing stuff like that. I'm the kind of person who just really, I love like documentaries. I love like making of films. Like I like watching directors' commentary with movies that I love and stuff like that. Like I'm just really into the production of things and looking at things from the viewpoint of the director or the creator or the artist or something like that. Right. So this is just something that for me personally, it's just very neat to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. Let's go ahead and get into some of this news.
News time.
This really isn't in any particular order as far as like when it was released. So one of the first things that I just thought of with news today that I wanted to mention was just we got a brand new Metroid Dread trailer.
Woo!
And even though this is not a like an RPG, this is something that I have been freaking pumped for.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Just every time I see trailers for this, it just seems like, I don't know, I'm getting like a lot of horror vibes from it.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know, man. I'm just so fucking pumped for it. We do got a whole lot of news stuff to kind of go over today. So, you know, some of them we might spend more time than others, but you know, stuff like that, I just want to get it out of the way just so I can just reiterate how fucking pumped I am for something like that.
Definitely.
One of the other things too is we got a release date for Steam and mobile releases of the collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legends collection.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That was, you know, that came out on Nintendo Switch. I think it was exclusive to Switch. You've never played any of the like SaGa games, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe this is something. Like, I mean, if you obviously if you have a Switch, you know, and that's something you're interested in, you know, get it on there too. But maybe you're someone who doesn't have a Switch, but you still want to take this game anywhere you want, or this collection of games anywhere you want. You can get it on Google Play and the Apple App Store and stuff. Or if you just want them HD menus and stuff, you could get the Steam version. So that's, you know. Yeah, that's just one of the things that I wanted to mention too. Other thing too, me and you texted about it very briefly, but we got a pretty solid look at Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Oh yes, Arceus. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit, man! This is I really think this is the first time that I've been genuinely like pumped for a Pokemon game.
Yeah. No, Sam, I agree. Like as a big Pokemon fan as I am, like this definitely just rekindled my love for Pokemon, because the past couple Pokemon games have kind of like lukewarm, not that great lately. So this is definitely like a nice surprise.
Yeah, I definitely got a lot more. Like, I know a lot of people were looking at Pokemon Sword and Shield and was like, you know, oh, it's basically like it's the new generation of Pokemon. They're basically doing Breath of the Wild, but it's Pokemon. Obviously, that's not what Sword and Shield turned out to be, but this looks more along those lines.
This is more like, definitely.
So I'm super into it. I'm all into it. Other than Pokemon Legends, though, I'm still really looking forward to playing the new Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Yeah, same.
So
the whole reason why I wanted to beat the original first before getting the new one.
Yeah, and that's something I really like to do as well. I don't play on my DS or anything like that very often, or play DS games and stuff. But I think if I did, I really like to just compare and contrast like remakes or like remasters that come out.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I'm excited to hear all of your opinions on what was changed and what was left the same and all that.
Yeah.
Another thing too, we got an announcement kind of a little while ago that we have another version of drumroll, drunken drumroll. Skyrim, another version of Skyrim is coming.
Yo, let's go!
We didn't have enough. Yay!
We did it, boys.
Yay. So yeah, Skyrim Anniversary Edition is coming out in November. I think this is just I don't think really anything is different other than it's like an anniversary of Skyrim, and it's coming out like on PS5 and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's still a game that. Yeah. I can't decide if this is something that's necessarily been on my backlog, but it's something that I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to playing it. It's not like I'll never have a system that I can't play this game.
Yeah, you have options.
Yeah. We got release date for the new Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster.
Hey.
That's coming out September 8th, so like in 2 weeks or something. Have you seen any footage or done any sort of looking at the Final Fantasy 1 through 3 Pixel remasters?
Not at all.
Nice.
Do they look significantly better?
So here's my thing about it. I personally just think like just look at Final Fantasy 1 and 2, for instance. I think the definitive versions of those games were the PSP ports.
I agree, yes.
The PSP ports, like, they had a lot of really neat graphics, like as far as like wind and shadows and water, and like whenever you go in and out of battles and stuff, like there were lots of really cool effects. But other than that, they didn't do a whole lot of teetering with the actual sprite work that was like offensive or anything. I think the sprite work in that game still looks really well done. The music was reorchestrated or I don't know, re-recorded for the PSP version and stuff. So and on top of everything, like cosmetically, just on the outside, there was a shit ton of content. At least compared to like those original versions, like the PS1 version or the Game Boy version. Like there were extra dungeons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that those are the best versions of the game, and these Pixel remasters don't include any of the extra content.
Oh, damn.
They are quite literally just HD versions of the NES game.
Okay.
Like, I mean, and I think it's nice. There's like an auto button that kind of makes battling go a lot faster. It's not really a speed up button, but it is like an auto button. And so I don't know. It's just like they're not for like what they are. Like if you look at it as just being like, okay, I was looking at it as like, oh wow, we're getting like a new HD version of Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like this is really cool. Like we're gonna see all of the extra content and all that, like from the PSP releases and stuff like that. But no, it's literally just HD versions of their like base game. So realistically, I think for the first 3, I think Final Fantasy 3 is probably the only one that might be worth looking at, because in America we never got the original NES version of the game. We
That
only
is
got
true.
The 3D version.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, Final Fantasy 3, that's cool.
How much are they? The first 3, since they're already
so I think they all sell individually for like let me pull up Steam real fast. I think it's something like $17 per game.
Okay.
Yeah, they they all sell for $18 individually, $17.99.
Jeez. Wow. Okay.
So I don't know. Especially for a game like Final Fantasy 1, I just don't think that's not an appropriate price in my opinion.
No. It should be like $400.
Or sorry, no. Final Fantasy 1 is $12.99.
Oh, okay.
Final Fantasy 2 is also $12.99. Final Fantasy 3 is, I think, also $12.99. I don't know. Or no, I don't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Basically, these games aren't as good. Well, I think I don't think it's not as fair to say they're not as good. I think they're definitely better than the original releases, obviously.
Yeah. But
compared to their remasters that have come out, I just don't know why they didn't at least include all of the extra content that came in the PSP versions.
I don't know, man.
But
Square's weird.
Square is weird. So I don't know. Of the first 3, if you've never played, well, I guess if you're not living in Japan, I guess you never really got the official like 2D version. So that this is basically a new re-release, or like a new release of Final Fantasy 3 for everyone who's not Japanese.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, Final Fantasy 4 Pixel Remaster is coming out, in like 2 weeks. So that one might be, I think as 4, 5, and 6 release, people will have more positive things to say just because, well, I don't know. I feel the same way about Final Fantasy 4. Like, I just prefer the PSP version over the Super Nintendo version. Mm-hmm. But I'm assuming Final Fantasy 4 will be just the Super Nintendo release of Final Fantasy 4, but like
probably.
HD. Mm-hmm. Maybe Final Fantasy 5 will be the best version of 5. Right now, people, I think that the Game Boy Advance version is the best version. But yeah, I mean, and then Final Fantasy 6, I think most people agree that the original 6 is like on Super Nintendo is like the best version.
Oh wow, okay.
So maybe this one will be cool too. I think most people also just look at the coloring of these sprites and think that they don't look as good as they did on their original, like Super Nintendo versions at least. So I don't know. These games. I mean, I think if you, I don't. It's hard to say because I think these games just need to be on console. My big thing is like the fact that they put them on mobile and
I forgot about
Steam.
that. Yeah, they did put them on mobile.
Yeah, they're all just available on Steam and on mobile.
Jeez, what?
And I don't know. I want. I don't know if by purchasing them you're telling Square that you want console releases, or by not purchasing them you're telling them you want console releases. I just don't know.
It's a double-edged sword. Oh man.
But anyways, Gamescom is happening right now.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of trailers here and there and a couple announcements, just surrounding Gamescom. One of them is a new tactical RPG that is, it's themed around like Marvel. So I don't know if you've played like the XCOM games or anything like that.
I've played, not really, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is like almost like XCOM, like Marvel game.
Oh, tight. That's awesome.
Yeah. The characters who it like highlighted were like Wolverine, Iron Man. I'm blanking on 2 of the other ones, but then you got like this new rendition of Ghost Rider. And I used to love Ghost Rider whenever I was younger, so it was really cool just to see a new version of him,
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it's a tactical RPG. Just thought that might be interesting to note.
Yeah, no, that sounds tight. Actually.
We also got some. I guess you can look at this as either good news or unfortunate news, but Horizon Forbidden West has been delayed.
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So, I don't know, with stuff like that. I mean, I was surprised that it was originally supposed to even come out this year. You know. So to hear that it's been delayed, and it's only being delayed until like February 2022.
Yeah, like the delay day is not that far off.
Yeah.
I mean, and plus, like for us, it's not that big of a deal since we don't have PS5s yet anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll be on PS4 too, but
oh, okay.
But even still, I'm like,
I
don't know. I want to play the best. Like, if I'm gonna play the game, I want it to be the best version of the game.
Same.
You know?
I think I would rather play it on the PS5. Yeah.
That's what I like. Spider-Man PS4 was one of my favorite games of the entire like PlayStation 4 library, and I'm just such a big Spider-Man fan. So even for what is it, Spider-Man Miles Morales, I've still not played that game because I don't have a PlayStation 5. I know it is on PS4. But I'm like, guys, if I'm gonna fucking play a Spider-Man game, I'm gonna play the best version of the Spider-Man game.
God damn right.
Yeah. But they also like shadow dropped a new PS5 like update for Horizon Zero Dawn. It does like 4K 60 frames a second, and it just like feels a lot smoother. And I haven't played it in a while, so I think whenever I get a PS5, before I play the new one, I might try replaying the original Horizon. At least just getting through all the story. I haven't played the DLC either, so probably want to do that. But yeah, I mean, if it's not ready, good, delay it. Don't release it when it's not ready.
Take your time. Come on, it was a good game.
Then we also got a new like extended story trailer for Lost to Judgment, the sequel to Judgment. I think this is just really one of the best looking, like graphically, one of the best looking games. Especially just for the kind of game it is. I feel like I don't know, because you haven't played any of the Yakuza games, right?
No.
I just see like trailers for Judgment, and I just want to play Yakuza so bad. But I have to like stop myself because I know I'll start playing it and then I just won't play it. You know, I'll start playing it and then I'll be pissed off that I stopped playing my other games so that I could play Yakuza. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a game that I definitely like. You know, this new Lost Judgment game looks really good, but I have to play. I gotta play the first Judgment at least, but I really want to play the other Yakuza games because it's all in the same world. The dilemma is real.
The dilemma.
Did you see that we got some new trailers yesterday for Monster Rancher 1 and 2?
Wait, what?
Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX releasing in December.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and read the article for you. Yeah, I'll let you know what it is. It's Koei Tecmo announced that it is releasing a Monster Hunter 1 and 2 DX bundle worldwide on December 9th, 2021. The bundle, containing remastered versions of Monster Rancher and Monster Rancher 2, will be available on PC, Nintendo Switch, and iOS. It comes on the back of recent Japanese re-releases for both games in 2019 and 2020, respectively. The remastered versions of the game will include new features such as additional save slots, freeze slots, and Monster Hall of Fame slots. It also includes a memo feature to use while raising monsters, rankings for random battles, and a high-speed mode. The game's monster generating feature, where players used physical CDs to spawn different monsters, has been reworked so that players can search a database to find CDs.
Honestly, though, that kind of is one of the cool things about Monster Rancher, because I own technically what is known as the last game in the series, EVO. And like I believe it's technically the fifth one, and like you can still do that. Like I remember myself as a kid back in daycare, just like me and one of the other kids just grabbing a bunch of CDs from like the theater room and just like seeing what kind of monsters we could get.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of fun memories of Monster Rancher. So I'm excited for this. This is awesome. I never played the early ones before.
I'm as soon as I saw that was one thing where I was like, oh, I wonder if DJ knows about this. If not, I can't wait to tell him.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. That's awesome.
Yeah, so now you and Cole have the other games that you can go back to on Videoverse.
That's true.
So, yeah, Monster Rancher. I mean, this is not a series that I ever grew up playing. I literally have never heard of the game until you and Cole played Evo on Videoverse, you know?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of, game series, have you ever heard of Metabots?
Metabots? I don't think so. I mean, maybe I have.
They're pretty much just like if Pokemon, but like they're all robots. Basically, that's literally what it is.
Okay.
So the only reason I brought it up was because like somebody in the comments of the Monster Rancher video was just like, all right, so who do we have to yell at to get Metabots localized? So I'm just like, I would love that.
Oh wait, were these games that were like not released in America?
Not all of them, because Metabots is like still a popular thing in Japan, but like in America we only got like a few games, like 3 or something like that.
Okay. Huh. Well, that'd be cool if that was also, remastered or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll, do a big old I'm just wondering if now that they're releasing Monster Rancher 1 and 2, like they're re-releasing it, this is them saying like, hey, we care about this series still. We want to still make money off this series. So I wonder if they're just trying to like build up an audience for like a new Monster Rancher game that might be coming out.
Fuck yeah, that'd be tight. I remember like there was a time when like they had an online MMORPG Monster Rancher, but it was only available for America. And then for so long, just like, please, for only available in Japan. And for so long, just like, please release it in America, please.
Yeah.
But it never happened. So yeah, hopefully if this succeeds, we can get more Monster Rancher. That'd be tight.
Yeah.
'Cause I love that series.
Definitely, man. Well, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I might give that one a look-see-poo. We also got a later on in September, we have a PC release for Bravely Default 2.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's pretty cool. I played a little bit of the first Bravely Default game. I never played Bravely Second, and I've heard plenty of positive things about Bravely Default 2. So I don't know. Now that I have a Nintendo Switch, I guess I could have just gotten it whenever I got it on there. But now that I'll be able to have all those graphics options and all of that.
Yeah.
And, I might just want to do it on PC. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
And then this is actually one of the other things. The next two kind of like things as far as like news are more so things that I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I have a bunch of like optimism for these two. So there is a game that is coming out on September 16th, and I've already pre-ordered this. This is an indie game. It's not a part of a franchise or anything, but I watched the trailer for this game, and even just the music alone played in the trailer completely sold me. I ran to my computer and pre-ordered it on Steam.
Oh wow!
The game is called Eastward. It is by Chucklefish Games. They made Stardew Valley, and they made they made some other stuff. I was looking at their page earlier, and they have a few games that they're kind of like known for. I guess Stardew Valley and a game called Starbound, both released in 2016. I think those are like their big titles that they made. But Eastward is coming out, and this kind of looks like a new sort of like Earthbound kind of game. It looks like it is a game. It's like an RPG that they're making. That from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks like it's going to be, I don't know, very very focused on visual storytelling and like emotional storytelling. And it just looks very funny. Like it looks like a very funny, quirky kind of game, like the like the Undertale games or whatever. So yeah, this is just a game that I'm like really looking forward to. Like I don't know much about it at all, other than just like a trailer or two that I watched, and like the music that was played in the trailer. It looks like there's a lot of like drawn artistic elements to it as well. Like there's a lot. If you watch the trailer, it looks like there is a lot of ideas that are just poured into this game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. There's a lot of like different sort of art styles going on at some points.
Yeah,
which is nice.
So yeah, I'm into it. This is, I mean, it's I feel like there have rarely been like new video game announcements that I see that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get. Well, because I guess let me put it this way. I feel like a lot of what I get really excited for nowadays is like whenever well-established like franchises get like remakes or sequels or something.
Same. I 100% agree with that. That's also how I feel with anime too. Like I look at like a list of all the new anime coming out, I'm just like, but then whenever I see something that's like I already know about, I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, if for instance, like if a brand new Final Fantasy game is announced, even though I have no idea how the game is going to play, who is composing the music or anything, what the story is going to be about, like, you know, anything like that, what it even looks like, I immediately kind of get that sense of like excitement of like, oh, like I know Final Fantasy, like I'm into that, like yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Definitely.
But a game like Eastward, this is, I mean, sure, it borrows a lot of things from other games that I love, but this is also just like a completely brand new video game. Like it's not a part of any other series or something like that. And I think it's just kind of rare. Or like, I don't know, we can get really excited for brand new like first party titles. Like whenever they announced Horizon Zero Dawn, I was really excited for that. But I think mostly because it's like when it was announced, it was like this big PlayStation exclusive game that's not a part of any series, and it's like this is going to be the next big hit for PlayStation, and so automatically, you know, people are drawn to that alone. Right. But this is just some indie game that I think I just saw the logo for it one day, and I wasn't even all that interested in the logo, but for some reason I just felt compelled to watch the trailer. And all of the music that was played in it with all of the visuals, I was like, fuck, I'm buying this game. I'm going to get this game.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm pumped for that. This last little bit of news that it's not like necessarily news, especially right now since the demo for this has been out, but it just kind of like, I was looking at some news from a while back, in between recording episodes and all that. And the Tales of Arise demo came out. I was wondering, did you play the demo for that game or no?
No.
So is this a game that you think that you'll be interested in checking out? Maybe.
So I'll have to look at it again.
Yeah, this is a how they've kind of advertised this game is like this is a fresh new take. Like this is a fresh new take, a fresh new start for the Tales of games. I've tried playing Symphonia, I've tried playing like Zestiria, I've tried playing a couple of them and can never really get myself to get past playing maybe an hour or two of all of them. But I haven't played the demo for this game yet. But now I'm thinking that I might want to get a sense of how the game plays. But this is like an action RPG. Graphically, I mean, as far as like these new anime style RPG games go, I think it looks really, really good. Like everything looks very realistic, other than like the characters, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting like design style. I think I'm gonna make this game my first like official Tales of game that I play.
Okay.
Usually I'm the kind of person who's like, oh, I want to like play through this series before I get to the new one, whether or not they're connected or not. I just like to go through the development history of a game.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like I've given the other games, you know, at least what I consider a shot, like giving them a chance. And not that I hate them or anything. there's something about them that doesn't really keep me engaged. But I don't know. I've just been seeing trailers for this game, and I think this might be the first Tales of game that I fully give my attention to, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the demo of it, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is I think that's gonna do it for the news. Yeah. So let's go ahead and real quick, let's go ahead and do the question of the week.
Woo! Give me that question.
All right. So, on Discord and in our last episode, I went ahead and posted, we have our question of the week. This question was suggested by One Pin Tones in our Discord. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your answer, One Pin Tones. I'm only just now seeing that you answered the question of the week. I actually completely left the Discord for a little while. But yeah, so One Pin Tones asked this question of the week: what is your favorite video game that you can't get any of your friends or family to play? It's a great question. Thank you so much, One Pin Tones. One Pin Tones even answered saying, I can't seem to get any of my friends to play Ni no Kuni. No matter all the selling points I give them. I don't know why I read that like a degenerate. No matter all the selling points I give to them, it's just been added to their back catalog.
Sadness.
I agree. I think that game, even for me, I know me and you have talked about the game. It's I look at all of the selling points in that game, and I just think this game seems perfect. You know, this seems like the perfect video game. And then I don't know. I think I played a good portion of it. I even played through the entire beginning of that game with my wife, and just so that she could kind of get an idea for what the story of this game is going to be like. And, it opens up very emotionally. A very tragic thing happens to the main character of the game, very early on in the game. And you're very quickly afterwards thrown into this sort of fantasy world. It starts off in the real world, and then you're put into the fantasy world. So from as far as the storytelling goes for me, it's very gripping. It's very engaging to me, and it's very. I think me and you talked about it last episode too. It's like if Pokemon were to meet Final Fantasy 12. You know.
Yeah.
And Studio Ghibli sounds like a fucking It sounds just like this great video game.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's I salute you, One Pin Tones, for choosing that game, because I think that is a game that everyone needs to play, myself included. But yeah, DJ, do you have an answer for this one?
Honestly, not really, because I don't really pester anybody about the games I play. I just play whatever the hell I want. But I mean, when I think about it, I guess maybe just JRPGs in general, because a lot of people I know, besides you, honestly, that just aren't really into JRPGs. They're just into the stereotypical shooter games or sports games, which are fine if you play those. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of people I know just aren't really into the more story-driven games.
Yeah.
So probably just JRPGs in general for me.
What about I guess for you, is there sort of any sort of thing that you are super into that you have tried to get other people into, whether it's a show or a movie franchise or a game or something?
No, not really. Just because I'm in the mindset of just I'll say it, but if you have no interest of looking into it yourself, I'm not going to bother with it. I'm not going to waste my time on you. I'm just going to enjoy what I enjoy. And if you don't like it, that's fine.
All right, let's put a hypothetical in front of you. Okay. Let's say someone comes up to you and y'all start talking about anime, and they ask you what is what's your favorite anime, and then you say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then they just say oh god, I hate JoJo or whatever, and then you say
oh no, I've gotten stuff like that,
or they say okay, yeah. So you say, I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and they say, oh, I hate JoJo. And then you say, have you watched all of it? And then they say, like, no, I haven't watched any of it. I don't like the way, you know, it's something like very superficial. Like, I've never actually watched it, but I just like, I look at screenshots or something and I say, I'm not going to watch that.
I actually have gotten a couple of things like that. Like, the people will say, like, oh, I don't like the art style, or oh, it's gay or whatever, and I'm just like
what do you say to like combat that? Like, or do you even try, because you know, right then and there, that's whenever the contention begins, and like, yeah, you know, you're dealing with someone who might be like, they may be into it if you explain something to them, or they might not be. What do you do in that situation?
Well, I mean, I try to combat them, like, for example, the art style, you know. There's also another anime that I really like too, Baki the Grappler. A lot of people don't like the art style of that just because it's very, I guess, rough and out there. Like, they're very, I guess, not grotesque, but they're very just realistic and weird looking characters. Same thing with the art style of JoJo. And, like, I mean, I feel like people need to understand to, like, because I can understand how it's kind of hard at first with the art style, just like get past it, but people need to sort of, I guess, broaden their views and not let something like that distract them from how potentially good the series could be to them, because a lot of people just sort of look at the surface level of it, you know, of just anything in general, video games, anime, movies, whatever. So I think people need to at least try to give it a shot, not just let that one thing get to them. But some people will just, you know, no matter how much you sell it on, they'll just be super stubborn about it. But I still try to be like, hey, you know, at least give it a shot. Maybe just, you know, check out the first part or whatever. Because the first part's short. It's only 9 episodes. But even then, too, like, I mean, the first part's good of JoJo, but in comparison to, like, everything past that, it's not as good.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to, I guess, try to fight for something just because, like, if they're like, it sucks, and then I just say even one thing of their stories like, it sucks, I'm just like, oh, whatever. I don't
not worth fighting.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I still just like try to say like, this is why I like it, this is why I think it's good. I would recommend checking out if you're not gonna put in the effort. I don't care. I'm not gonna waste my time with you. I'm just gonna enjoy what I like. Dude,
I've definitely gotten better at that mindset over the years, but holy shit, dude. I look at myself and the things that I was interested in and how I went about explaining those things to other people, and I just cringe at how insufferable I must have been. like guys, everybody listening, I was like obsessed with Kingdom Hearts. Like, I'm still a Kingdom Hearts fan. I enjoy the Kingdom Hearts games, but even still to this day, I'll defend the games to people who like don't want to give it a chance, and I'll say like, hey, you should play Kingdom Hearts, you know. But I can at least look at all of the flaws with Kingdom Hearts. I was But man, there was a point in time where I could not see any flaws. I thought it was a freaking masterpiece. There were no issues with it whatsoever. I used to holy shit, I used to literally be on the bus in middle school, and like some of my friends would like, you know, now guys, remember this is like 2009, 2010, right. You know, the word gay as a genuine insult was pretty common, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people would be like on the bus with me, and you'd be like, oh, like that, you play that gay game, oh, you're so gay, and other slurs with that, you know. And to the point where like
middle school.
Yeah, to the point where like I would start to like cry. I would start to cry, not because like I felt like they were making fun of like me, but because they were disrespecting Kingdom Hearts. and I think even like right now, my wife, she's not super into video games. Like me and her, if she's going to play a game with me, it's going to be something that either A, she doesn't really have to She doesn't have to think a whole lot about what she has to do. You know, like a game like okay, I mean, I guess for this question, a very good response, I guess, would just be my wife and Kingdom Hearts. But that's mostly due to the fact that she's just not a gamer at all.
Right.
Like, she has played a good portion of Kingdom Hearts. She's actually played through all of, like, the entire beginning of Kingdom Hearts, beat Alice in Wonderland, beat the Tarzan Jungle. Like, she's gotten a fair, like, bit into the game. But this was, like, whenever we stared dating, and I feel like she was just doing it for me
like,
at the time.
Make you impress you, yeah.
But now that we're married and we definitely have more separate interests, you know, it's kind of a struggle for me to try to get her to play video games with me. What she will play with me, though, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast, it's games like Life is Strange, where, you know, we're both
more
sitting
like
there.
The game is the story,
Yeah, well, and it's not even though the game is the story, because I could say the same thing with, like, you know, a game like Uncharted, for instance. Like, there's some platforming and, like, shooting and puzzle mechanics and stuff like that, but for the most part, you're playing through that whole game to kind of experience the story. Life is Strange, pretty much all of the gameplay is making story decisions. So even if Nicole is not playing, she can basically sit there and control where the entire story goes while I'm holding the controller. Like, she can say, pick that choice, you know? But yeah, I feel like the Kingdom Hearts series for me has been a constant in my life as far as, like, game series that I try to get other people to get into, but then they just don't, you know?
Right.
But yeah. So thank you so much, One Pin Tones, for that great question.
Thank you, One Pin Tones. Definitely good.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of a. I mean, I kind of was trying to think of some other questions of the week.
Wait, what is there an opposite? Actually, is there like a game that someone has tried to get you into, but you were just like, nah?
So that's what I was actually going to say. One Pin Tones, whenever he asked that question of favorite video game that you can't get your family to play, he in that same message said maybe overhyped game that you couldn't get into.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one. One Pin Tones' other question for this new question. So this new question,
2 for 2.
Great job, One Pin Tones. You're running the whole show now.
Hell yeah.
So this next one asked by One Pin Tones. What is an overhyped game that you couldn't get into? Like a game that everyone is telling you that you need to play, and even if you've given it a try, you just cannot get into it. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
I think, thank you for that one Pin Tones. I think even based on that question, I think that can kind of lead us into maybe a new segment that I was thinking that we could try to incorporate into this. But I'm trying to figure out. Right before me and DJ started recording this episode, we kind of were sitting here for a little bit trying to figure out exactly what we could do with introducing this segment. But I don't know. I feel like I want to look at maybe some unpopular opinions, just kind of surrounding JRPGs as a whole, whether that's, based on JRPGs in general or based on a specific series or anything like that. But I also don't want this to be like a, we're just shitting on your opinion and your opinion isn't valid. Like, I think opinions are valid, but if someone's just hopping into a message board and it's just saying a bunch of like nonsense that looks like they're just completely, I don't know, I guess
like they're trying to piss people off.
Yeah, just like people who are just inept at having good social skills on the internet. I think those can be kind of fun to highlight and maybe goof on them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely, I agree.
So, DJ, I don't know. Did you? Is there anything that has kind of jumped out at you that you think might just I don't know, be worth.
Well, so I'm looking on the subreddit for JRPGs, and this one dude made a thread. I don't know if I should say his name or not.
No. We can keep their names anonymous.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep it anonymous.
Because if we're gonna be like, if we're gonna talk about how stupid they
are.
Oh
yeah. Probably should. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, he didn't really give. This isn't a popular opinion in this to me in the sense of just like it's not a negative opinion, just like an opinion that like honestly don't really hear that often of people saying this or whatever.
Yeah,
so it's not really
rare
a bad one,
opinions
just sort of an
are
interesting
also
one. Yeah. So this one that I heard that I just saw that I was like, oh, that's interesting, is that this guy said, I for one actually sometimes prefer blank slate characters a la Final Fantasy 1 or Dragon Quest 3 as party members because I like being able to imagine it's me and my friends on an adventure. How do you feel about that? Blank slate characters instead of like already established characters with their own backstory, voiceover, stuff like that. Like games where you customize your own character and they never talk throughout the whole thing.
Right. So I think first we need to establish that there is definitely a difference between a blank slate character versus a silent protagonist.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Dragon Quest 3 is a silent protagonist, right?
What's up?
Dragon Quest 3 is a silent protagonist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. But the party members who you equip outside of your main character, they're blank slate characters.
Okay.
So if you've played Dragon Quest 3 and you're hearing that, and hopefully that's a good, I guess, comparison. But like, for instance, Link in the Legend of Zelda series, he's not blank slate. He's just a silent protagonist. Chrono in Chrono Trigger, silent protagonist.
Oh yeah, no, he's silent. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 100%.
But Final Fantasy, 1 and yeah, I think those are. I don't want to say I prefer them. I think his opinion is just that he prefers them over established characters. For the purpose of putting himself in their shoes. And I think this is kind of what video games were initially built off of, I think, or at least the RPG genre. Because for instance, games like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, and Ultima, and other games like those, all of them are in some way based on Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
A game where you create your own character and your own character's personality. And I think that was the idea with a lot of these early games. And I think there are still some games nowadays that still do stuff like this. But yeah, and I think even like Final Fantasy has sort of like, they've tried to do stuff like that even with established characters by giving you the ability to change your name. But I could never change Cloud's name in Final Fantasy VII and change it to Gavin and actually look at it as like, this is me, That's me kissing Tifa. It's me and her. We're dating. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's they've tried to evolve it by like sort of mixing this idea of like having them be the people in your life or yourself or something like that with established characters. But I think this is an interesting opinion. I think this is like I don't know many people who prefer having to do all of the character work on their own. Yeah.
I don't prefer it, but it's a nice change of pace sometimes. Going from a game where like you have this character, they have a name, they have their own backstory, all these things like that. You watch them develop, and then playing a game where it's like you sort of figure that out for yourself and just go through the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really does just kind of depend on the game, and I think Final Fantasy 1 is a good example for this. For me, whenever I first played the very first Final Fantasy game, I played the Game Boy Advance version, and whenever I chose my party, I pretty much, like, the only other huge franchise that I had played before then was Kingdom Hearts. So whenever I played Final Fantasy 1, I named the Black Mage Vivi and imagined that it was Vivi from Final Fantasy 9 because he appeared in Kingdom Hearts 2. I named the White Mage Xemnas because of the white cloak, and that was the closest thing to like Xemnas's final outfit in Kingdom Hearts 2 or whatever. I named the main character Cloud just because of the way that Cloud looked in, or not the main character, the warrior character.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like, I think for something like that, for me at that time, whenever I was playing a game like that, I think I more so had the desire in my mind to kind of decide in my own head who these characters were, and maybe like some banter between the characters, like, oh, like what would they say if they were talking to each other while they were doing this thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays, I don't dislike that for sure. I think it's welcome, like how you were saying. But I do think that it is I just prefer established characters in stories.
Yeah, I agree.
This one's one that I think is just kind of funny. This guy from 3 years ago said Kefka is the most overrated villain in the genre. Like of all of all JRPGs or RPGs or turn-based RPG, of the whole genre, he's the most overrated villain. And his reasoning...
Has this man... Okay, go ahead.
His reasoning is he totally does bad things for no reason. He gets super powerful and blows stuff up for no reason. The depth and complexity is boundless. And I think he's got some pretty solid goals,
Yeah, first off, my first thing is like, this dude clearly has not played Final Fantasy V, because X-Death is 100% like the most boring, basic, evil because fuck you villain.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard that sentiment before as well. I haven't played through Final Fantasy V, but I've heard people say that. I really this person. Okay, so two things. He obviously has not played 5. He obviously has not played 6. Because I think, or at least I don't know, he played through 6 and just skipped every cutscene with Kefka in it.
Pretty much.
Another person comments saying people seem to really enjoy Kefka largely because he's a villain that actually succeeded in the goals that he set out to achieve. The goals were pretty insane and actually affected the cast in major ways for the whole second half of the game. But as an individual person with his story as far as identity goes, he is pretty basic. He is extremely basic and completely lacking in depth. He has no real motivation or growth. He succeeds fantastically as a villain, but fails miserably as an actual character. See, this is the kind of opinion that I consider valid,
Yeah. And also, too, now that I'm thinking about it, too, there actually were even Final Fantasy III's villain is worse. Like, it's literally just pops out of nowhere. Cloud of Darkness.
Cloud of Darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if anything, I would... This might sound a hot take, but I'd say Sephiroth is more overrated than Kefka.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sephiroth is still a great villain, but in comparison, like, he's way more overrated.
Yes. No, I think so too. As far as like main villains go, I think as someone who like plays the Final Fantasy games, I think I can look back at a lot of the like main final bosses and remember who they were. But Final Fantasy 7 and 6 are the only games in the Final Fantasy series that come to mind where I think Final Fantasy villains, those are the two that come to my mind, is Kefka and Sephiroth. And realistically, I think I just don't know how someone can like kind of look at that and then just believe that there is no reason for it. Like, there's a reason why people remember Kefka,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. And obvious, I think Kefka and the Joker can be very different from one another, but I think, you look at a movie like The Dark Knight and the Joker in that movie, like, he does incredibly like awful things, but even he has like motives, even if they're little things like some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I don't know. They have very charismatic character things about them, and I agree more with the second person in that he doesn't really have much growth as far as a personality. There's not a whole lot of depth to him as a person, but as far as a villain goes, he's a fucking good villain.
Definitely, I agree.
I don't think he's the
take.
most overrated in the whole genre.
No.
What about you? Have you found any other good ones?
No, there was one. Oh, someone said in the comments of this too, because this guy was just asking for like anybody's opinions, but this one dude, which I kind of agree with, said that like he wishes that bosses were weak to ailments. You know how like sometimes with a normal enemy, if you cast poison on them, they'll be poisoned, but like no matter which boss you do that to, like it'll never work on them. And like honestly, I kind of hate that that's the case.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I think it's I think if that is something that you're going to do to one of your bosses, like keep them like invulnerable to that sort of stuff, I would hope that there is some sort of like, I don't know, explanation in the story into why you can't do that,
Yeah. Like it would make sense if it looks like, oh, this guy has like a protective poison gear or something, but it's like, no, it's just like any boss just immune to all status ailments for some reason. It's like, why?
Yeah, I think it like I understand it as far as like just kind of keeping the challenge up, but I do think that I think if I think about it for long enough, I think I would just prefer maybe if there is a reason why you know, like Toad doesn't work or why Slow wouldn't work or something. Yeah. I saw one I'm not pulling it up right now, but I read one earlier where basically the guy was saying, I mentioned it to you, but I wanted to also just say this on the podcast. But this guy did not just not like Final Fantasy 13. He completely hated everything about it except for whenever the game opens up like on Pulse and you can do other things that aren't linear. But once you leave Pulse, he hates the game again. And it wasn't just like, I don't know, man. Like, I think obviously music is subjective, but he was also saying like, Blinded by Light is the worst song in all of Final Fantasy.
That's just completely wrong.
That's just wrong, bro. That's
like
just
that
wrong.
is honestly my favorite battle theme within Final Fantasy is Blinded by Light.
Yeah, it's at least as far as the battle themes go that are not the stereotypical dun 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 dun. You know, I think it is. I think it's one of the strongest ones. I just
and like just the fact that it's like it's the generic battle theme. It's like, oh, that's fucking, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah, but other things too. Like he tried going. I think this guy had real opinions. Like he wasn't just saying like a whole bunch of nonsense. But I didn't quite agree with a lot of what he was saying. Like he mentioned that Hope is the most I guess like useless and most annoying Final Fantasy character ever created. And that is something that I completely disagree with, and I actually really, really enjoy Hope as a character.
I'll say when me and Cole played Final Fantasy 13 on Videoverse, we did just shit on Hope, but like not as like we think he's bad. We were just shitting on him just for the sake of shitting on him. But like honestly, like Hope is an interesting character though.
So
like,
yeah,
for real.
I mean, I think my take on it is probably the hot take. I know a lot of people share the same sentiment of like Hope is a bad character, but a lot of people also share the sentiment that the laughing scene in Final Fantasy X is cringy, but I don't think it is. I think it's a great scene. And And I think,
I mean, I think it's cringy in the sense of just like, well, I mean, I agree. Like they think it's cringy, just like, oh, this is stupid. But I think it's supposed to be cringy. You know, like that's kind of the point of it.
Exactly. So my whole thing is like, it's just the way that people reference that scene. People will use that scene to reference like how shitty voice acting used to be back on the PlayStation 2. But that's definitely not. It's not bad voice acting. It's not even bad voice direction. It's all down to context. And I think the context of the scene with Final Fantasy X is extremely important. And I think the context into who Hope's character is in Final Fantasy 13 is also extremely important. Like, people say he's whiny. The kid's like not even like 15 years old or something.
Yeah.
Like he's an actual kid. Like name like a kid who you know who's not like kind of whiny. Like they just
not a whole lot.
Yeah, not a whole lot of kids are able to just, grasp very complex, situations and be able to just deal with it internally. Like a lot of them will complain or whine or something. And, from his perspective, Snow dropped his mother into a ravine and killed his mom. So from his whole perspective, Hope is now having to spend all of his time with the person who he thinks murdered his mom. And he has no idea. Like, he's just scared, he's anxious, he's angry, he's sad. Like, he's feeling all this stuff, and he's not even an adult. Like, he's not able to, like, just deal with all of this inside himself. Like, I don't know. I want to defend Hope, like, a lot.
No,
for all of
I
his
totally get it.
stuff.
And, like, honestly, now that I think about it, like, a lot of people, whenever, like, will just shit on a kid character, but then forget the fact that, like, hey, they're a kid. They can't really deal with all these complex emotions very well. They're going to do stupid things or whatever. They can't process these very well, Sure. Like, if any kid saw their mother dying and there was just a dude next to them, they probably wouldn't handle it very well,
Yeah. And I think if you want to even, like, I don't know, look at it from kind of the more realistic standpoint as well, if anything, Hope is more of a realistic character than like Rydia is in Final Fantasy IV, like in the very beginning. Like Rydia goes through like a very traumatic experience.
It doesn't take her long to get off of that.
Yeah, like it's but I think they do this thing with Rydia's character where I like, and this is not me saying I don't like Rydia's character, but she kind of gets over it very fast, No,
yeah, she does.
Whereas you're kind of going through all of Hope's story in like almost the entirety of Final Fantasy 13 is him just being in complete, I guess, shock. And he's just angry the entire time. And I get it. I look at his situation and I feel sympathy more than annoyance, Yeah. So,
I agree with that.
Yeah. So those are a few unpopular opinions about, whether it's the genre of RPGs itself or, a few of those Final Fantasy things we mentioned. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can kind of make that a thing. If you're listening out there and you have a hot take, you can comment that on our Discord. You can comment that on our YouTube upload. You can message it at us at Twitter or on Twitter or whatever. I feel like this is I feel like if we were to get any sort of response from a community, I feel like asking for their opinions is something that we'll get plenty of. So, because a lot of people want to share their hot takes.
Definitely.
But I feel like this is important to remember too, that all opinions that are shared on this podcast or that you share with us or that we see online, all of them are we have to respect them as their own sort of thing, and that we don't think that the people behind them are bad. If we disagree, we just disagree, and we can goof about it, and we can agree to goof about it. And that's the whole point of it. I don't want to cause any sort of fights or anything like that with this. Not that I think that that's going to happen in our community. I just want to make that clear.
Right. Definitely. Everybody's opinion is valid.
Yeah. So, with that, I mean, I there wasn't a whole lot of focus here in this episode. I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of catching up on stuff that happened in my life and what's going on with you and all that, and all of the news stuff that we've missed in between episodes, and give a little bit of time to talk about some unpopular opinions.
Yeah.
So if you have any suggestions out there for what we could call this segment, I'm just thinking something like hot takes. Like, it's time for hot takes. I don't know. Delicious hot takes.
Get your hot takes ready.
Yeah. Get your hot takes here. So, anyways, that's going to do it. DJ, do you have anything that you want to plug or anything like that?
No, not really.
Cool. One thing too, I've just been kind of thinking about maybe kind of where this channel's going now that I'm also considering or planning out this analysis kind of video game book club type thing. I can't give any window on when that's going to be done. We'll just try to get it done as soon as we can. And I think also I've been thinking about our Patreon as well. I'm thinking that I do want to try to set a goal. Not that we're making money steadily on it right now, but maybe I can run this by you or whatever. But I'm thinking maybe if we do a goal, if we can reach $100 a month on Patreon, we could start doing an exclusive Patreon podcast where I feel like if we're if we're making at least $100, we have enough. I think we have enough people in that community who might want to ask us questions, that they can have answered in that, or we can just shoot the shit and just talk about nonsense or talk about, video games or movies or anime or anything that's just kind of coming to mind. But, I want to try to make some sort of goal for that. Not that I'm not that we're hurting for the Patreon to grow immensely right now. I mean, that's not something that I want to push on people, but if that's some sort of incentive that people might want, that's something that I'm open to doing. So, if we can maybe get $100 a month on Patreon, we might start up something exclusive like a podcast or something, or I might stream or something for that community. But just want to spitball ideas out there and, not trying to make things overly complicated or overwhelming in our lives because, we obviously have a shit ton that we're doing outside of this podcast. But, yeah. Other than that, I mean, yeah, you can follow us on Patreon. There are tiers there, but other than Patreon, you can also follow us on Twitter, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can join our Discord. All of that stuff's going to be in our, podcast description, no matter what you're listening to or watching us on. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Sounds good.
You wanna hit him with it?
Sure. We'll catch you later, Mr. Faders.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna let you end it on that one.
Okay, tight.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.